Welcome back to another episode of Sea Devil Sessions University Transfer Edition. I'm your host, Lucinda McNamara, Dean of University Transfer and Partnerships, and here with me is the velvet voiced Kathie Lee.
Hello.
Yes, give us some velvet, baby.
Velvet.
Not Velveeta. Sorry. I don't know where I'm going with that.
Anyway. I can be pretty cheesy.
So, but I'm pumped. I love it. See, this is why people tune in to our podcast. They're just riveted by the highbrow comedy that we are delivering on the weekly basis.
Yes.
When this podcast drops, it is going to be early November. And I must say, there is a bit of a chill in the air. Or maybe just a deep freeze here in the studio.
I think the chill is inside.
I mean, it is freezing in this place.
Yes.
It's like the Letterman studio at like a balmy 50.
It is, yeah. I wore my sweater and I was like, had to take it off when I went outside.
I know.
And put it back on when I came in.
I think we're going to have to warn our guests because our guest today was caught off guard. And who is our guest today, Kathie?
Our guest today is Greg Arey. He teaches in the Social Behavioral Sciences Department here at CFCC. He's also the faculty co-advisor for the Political Science Club. He has worked for the college for 21 years.
21 years here at CFCC, and I think he's going to let us know that he's taught a little bit longer, but you're going to be riveted. On to Greg. Greg Arey, it is so great to have you in the studio here for the podcast. Look at you. You look so excited. Doesn't he look excited, Kathie?
So excited.
How do you feel?
Fine.
See? Can you feel
Yeah.
the exuberance just coming right out of him?
Yes. No nerves. He's just like, steel,
Nerves of steel.
That's right.
So, yes, we were asking Greg Arey how to pronounce his last name correctly. And what were you saying to us, Greg?
Well, I was just saying that all the Aries, whether it be Mount Airy or the way we spell our name, or there's 3 different spellings, are all supposed to be from basically the same, family tree at some point where it broke all apart with the different spellings.
Right. Greg, thank you for being in here. What brought you to the Wilmington area?
Well, work, job here, but that's not where I'm from. So
where are you from?
I'm from the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia. Okay, I was born and raised there, but I left when I was 18. I was in the Navy for 4 years. I got out. I worked all over the place. I've lived all over the place. I was a park ranger for a while and did Civil War interpretation shows for the Park Service.
That's fun.
Yeah, that was one of the best jobs I ever had. Just didn't pay. Then went back to college. I was older. Went back to college, did degrees, and then got married and worked for a while, and then went back to do a PhD and was working on my dissertation and wound up here in Wilmington.
So you said you've been all over. Is Wilmington a place that you would have chosen? How'd you get to choose anywhere?
I don't know. It's hard for me to say.
Right.
Because I've lived so many different places. I mean, I've lived in, I was in Virginia. I lived outside of Chicago. I lived in Virginia Beach. I lived in Italy for 2 years. I lived in, northwest corner of Arkansas. I've lived in Alabama.
Wait, the northwest corner of Arkansas doesn't sound as romantic as Italy. I lived in Italy, lived in the northwest corner of Arkansas.
Right. Yeah, it's not. It's in the Ozarks.
Right.
So, but that's where I used to do.
Pretty.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's where I used to do the Civil War shows. So that's why I was in the northwest corner. Okay.
All right, I gotcha.
Interesting.
So
Wow.
Wilmington, everybody seems to love it here, though,
Yes.
once they get here.
Yes. And so, with your background and experience in the locations that you've lived, did any of that play into what drew you to teach history and government?
That's a long story. I don't have time to go into all of that. When I went back to college, I wasn't sure what I was going to do.
Yeah.
Okay. I at the beginning, I didn't know.
And disclaimer, that's okay, kids.
Yeah,
Sometimes you don't know.
That's right.
It's fine. I wasn't sure because I had worked in hospitals for 8 years. I had worked as a pharmacy tech. I had done history shows. I had done all these different things. And so when I went back, I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to study. What got me into political science was a professor. I had to drop a class, and I ran into a friend and said, "You need to take this class over here. We need students in this class." and I wound up taking a global issues class. It was just by chance. And that professor became my mentor and got me all started, and everything, got me into graduate school. Was the one who really pushed me all the way through. And he had studied political science, but, I didn't study American government.
Right.
I'd always studied international things. The PhD I studied in was international affairs. Okay, so I always studied international relations, comparative politics, did research in those areas. And then I always minored in history. So by minoring in history, I have all these hours and accumulated that allows me to teach in history and or political science. That's why I wind up teaching both here.
Okay. And if I'm going to backtrack just for a minute, I mean, you talk about this instructor and how great they were and really kind of influenced you to choose your direction. I mean, that's part of the reason why we're doing this podcast, because although we know probably not a lot of students are listening to it, the hope was that they could hear their instructors, in a different way and maybe kind of riff off of the passions that the instructor has for their discipline, when they're taking those classes.
Well, it was kind of the same thing. I talk about the one person who became my mentor, but there were others. There was another professor I had, also in political science. He was from Pakistan. He was a great professor. And I'll never forget, he told me, he said, you have to take this class. And I said, I'd taken some classes with him. And I said, I'm not taking that class. It's on Saturday morning. I was like, no way. And he goes, no, the dean always asked me to teach a Saturday class once in a while. I got to tell you, you got to take it. And that professor said, I got to have you in this class. So I said, all right, I'll go ahead and do it. So I went and I took the class. It was a small class, of course. Nobody wants to take a class on Saturday morning.
Right.
Well, one Saturday he had a commitment. And so he said, he grabbed me, because remember, I was older. Right. I wasn't as young as some of the others. And he grabbed me and he said, you got to teach the beginning of the class. And I was like, I'm in the class. I was an undergraduate, right? And he goes, yeah, but it doesn't matter. You got to teach the beginning of the class. I don't want to lose, because it's a 1 week class.
Right,
I don't want to lose all those hours. So he said, you got to teach the class. So I said, all right, I'll do that. And so I said, well, what do you want me to cover? He said, you know what we're kind of doing in class. Figure out what you wanted to say, and I'll just come in. It's like, okay, fine.
Please don't do this, instructors, by the way. Right.
So I did. I went in, and the first day I told everybody, I said, he's not gonna be coming in early, and he wants me to get started with class. Everybody okay with that? Yeah. So we got into it. I started teaching the class. We had a great time. We had a lot of discussions. I'd probably been teaching for an hour or so. And all of a sudden, I could see him in the doorway, and I was like, okay, great, he's here. And he came and said, no. And he came in and he sat down at the desk, and he said, this is so good. He said, this is stuff I want notes on. He said, you just keep going. I want you to finish all the stuff that you've worked on, because he said, this stuff's great. And I was like, what? And then ever since then, every time I had him, he always said, this is what you have to do. You have to automatically, you have to go to school, you have to go to grad school, you have to get your PhD, you've got to teach.
I mean, did you feel the bug too? I mean, were you like, man, I'm doing a really great job here?
Well, for me, it wasn't that hard. I never have had trouble talking, like when I would do shows, I could have 100 or more people easily and sit down and just start talking. I'm never nervous. Never. And so I could just do that. And then when it came to teaching, I just wanted to get the details, and I just started doing it. And so it just became, it was almost for me, once I had what I wanted to say in class, then I would go and get all the details and then get started. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of happened that way. And that's actually the first time I ever really taught, but I didn't get paid for it. But, I taught that class, right? It's almost like I was interning, but not on purpose. But yeah, that was the first time. And after that, I thought, well, yeah, maybe. And then what happened was, once I finished my master's degree, I started teaching immediately. This is 30 years now total of teaching in colleges and universities.
Greg, all this means is that you were doing what you were meant to be doing. Look at that.
Yeah, probably. I mean, probably. I think so.
30 years later, probably.
Yeah.
So what have you noticed about the differences in the students since you began teaching 30 years ago?
I There's a big change. I think today students tend to be younger coming to class than they were even when I first started here, and especially when I started years ago, because I taught in universities primarily before I came here. And I noticed that, we have a lot more high school students now than we used to. So I think that's created a big change.
All right. Well, you have made it to the rapid fire questionnaire. This is the part that everybody gets very excited about. I mean, I can hear the audience members right now just on the edge of their seats. Can't wait.
Yay,
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Kathie, take it away.
All right. What is your most favorite thing about your job?
Teaching. I mean, I like the teaching, sharing the knowledge, just trying to explain to students what's going on, make connections, whether it be in political science or in history, continuing the story.
All right. That's a good answer. So what is your least favorite thing about your job?
Grading. That's simple.
Right.
Grading. I'm in the middle of it right now.
Oh, yay.
Just think about that, kids. All the sacrifices that your instructors are making when they're grading.
That's right. Yes. Whew. So what sound or noise do you love?
Silence. Quiet. Gives me a chance to think, focus, concentrate, figure out what I'm doing for research or whatever.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Oh, the worst thing was the old chalkboard with that chalk. And the screechy sound. Now that we don't have chalkboards anymore. When I first started, we had those chalkboards. Write something on the board. Right. We didn't have PowerPoints or anything. Screech. I couldn't stand that. I hate that noise. But other than that, now we all have those whiteboards, so I don't have to worry about it.
Like nails on a chalkboard, for real.
Yeah,
that's...
exactly.
What one piece of advice do you have for college students?
Go to class and take notes. I don't think they're
simple.
doing that. I think we have too many students that don't go to class all the time, and I'm finding less and less students are taking notes. And I think they're not going to remember the material that they're going to need. And it's kind of a lost skill.
I don't think they know how to take notes. Students don't really know how to study.
No. They've never had to.
Right.
They've never had to take notes. They've never had to really study. They've never had to really really prepare like you have to do in college. And I think when I'm older than everybody here, when I was going through school, you had to just to get through school. And I'm not sure that you have to do that anymore. And it kind of becomes a little shock to the system for them to understand what they have to do to get through the class, to get the information that they need.
Yeah. And sometimes they get there, but they get there a little too late. Half the semester's over or something like that. But,
exactly.
Yeah. I'm not really sure how to help with that.
I don't mean to butt in, but I almost feel like the rise in technology is challenging these students. It's really weaseling out the ones who do want to pursue this as a career, and then the ones that are just kind of filling it, And it's really just showing who is going to pursue in these things and who's just kind of going to be on the backtrack and filling in.
And I think you're right. I think, and that's the other thing that somebody like me, it bothers me a little bit, is the technology thing. They're so dependent on it. I joke around with the faculty, but I think if you ask them what 5 times 5 is, they pull out their phone and they show you on their calculator or their phone what 5 times 5 is, I mean, it's like, it's got to be like automatic. I have to go to my phone to answer a question. And I'm like, no. You haven't learned the multiplication tables, or you don't have that kind of information just readily accessible. You didn't learn anything about that when you were going through school. Yeah. You don't know anything about history, or you don't know anything about, in my case, something in political science or whatever. And it's like, well, no, I just look at my phone. And then I'm like, well, then there's no way you can make the connection with what's going on, with how it fits. Because the phone's not going to make that connection for you.
No, it's not. Yep, I'm not really sure. If we had the answer to that, we'd be, we'd have all the world's problems solved.
Right, exactly. But I think what you're talking about, I think that's how students get through school before they come here.
Yeah, I do too.
And I think that's a huge problem. I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah. So what are 2 college transfer major options for someone who's interested in history or government or political science?
I mean, some options I mean, well, you can always go to graduate school for any of those. Law school, a lot of people want to get into law school to study both of those majors. If you're studying political science, for example, a lot of people want to work in think tanks, but you're going to have to go to graduate school. You're going to have to, the higher up you go, the more you're going to get. Same thing with government jobs. Get at least a master's degree, and if you get a PhD, you can, or even working towards a PhD, they'll exempt you from like foreign service exams and government exams because they're basing it on your research, and then you can get jobs that way. So those kinds of jobs, that's usually what people go into.
Okay, good.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh, I don't know. That's hard for me. I don't know.
Anything, Greg.
Well, I thought about, academically, I thought about other programs. Like I had worked in the medical field for a while. I thought about things like pharmacy school. I thought about physicians were trying to get me to go to medical school. I thought about being a PA for a while. I thought
What
about all
about
that
dream?
stuff.
What about big dreaming?
Oh, big dreams. I was too realistic for that.
Let's just peel off the realistic layer for a minute, Greg Arey.
I know.
And let's talk about big dreams.
I know. I'm hearing a lot about
sure, I would love to have been some kind of professional athlete, but I knew I was never good enough.
Now we're talking. What sport?
Oh, I don't know.
What's your favorite sport?
I don't know. I played a lot of basketball, but I
Okay.
played against really good players
Professional basketball player.
who became professional basketball players, and I knew I could never be one.
Well, okay, that's not what we're talking about right now, Greg. We are dreaming big. Professional basketball player Greg Arey.
When you're in high school and you're playing against guys who actually played for like 15 years in the NBA, and you know that you're lucky if you make one shot against them, you know that you don't have a chance.
So it sounds
it's a little
like,
bit different.
It sounds like there's a name. Is there an NBA player that you played against in high school?
Yeah, we actually played for a little while, but yeah, it was.
You don't want to tell us who it is?
No.
Dang it!
No.
Inquiring minds want to know.
And then and then in the league that where we played, there were a lot of guys who went on and got major college scholarships. Some played in the pros,
but
some played in even like Australian professional leagues and places like
Greg,
that.
But Greg, you were playing with these people, so you might have
I
just
wasn't
been
that
on
good.
the cusp.
Right.
Nah,
You're not selling.
nah,
You're selling
I
yourself
wasn't.
short.
No, there is absolutely no way.
I don't know. I can see it. I'm picturing it now. What would your number be? Okay, anyway.
No, that's absolutely. I'm too short anyway.
So what profession would you not like to attempt?
Oh God. That one's harder. That's much harder for me to figure out what I wouldn't like to attempt.
Like, it's just the worst. Like, what would be the worst?
I don't think. Well, I could never do anything like sing or anything like that. I have no skills.
Like public performer?
Oh.
But you
Any-
are.
I was going
anything.
to say, you have this experience.
Yes, you're a public performer in the classroom, on the trails, in
Yeah,
the northeast
no, it's-
corner of
Tour guide.
Arkansas.
That's right.
I
Northwest.
think. I hate to say this, but I think it's like I could never do anything like artistically. I'd have no artistic talent whatsoever as far as like painting or drawing or singing or none of that.
Yeah,
I just don't
There's
have
a lot
that.
of selling short here in this podcast,
Yes.
Greg. I'm not buying any of it.
No, I can't. I'm not good at it.
I mean, you were dressed up like Civil War people, like giving narratives out on the corners of, states.
But that's just for me. It's just talking about history and just explaining what was going on.
All right.
Well, thinking about acting, what is your favorite film?
No, I don't have a favorite film.
Nope.
God.
That is not an answer that is allowed on this podcast.
I don't rank things like that. I think if I go to the movies now, I'd probably watch. I like Christopher Nolan movies now.
Okay.
But I mean,
Yes.
I get into that. I've liked most of what he's done.
Did you like Inception?
Yes. I liked Inception. I really liked Dunkirk.
Oh,
That
yes.
was one of my
Yeah,
favorites.
absolutely.
I liked the Batman trilogies. I really liked that. The Dark Knight, that was good stuff. Now,
Yeah,
I
that
like
was good.
I even liked Insomnia that he did with Robin Williams and Al Pacino. That was one of his first. That was like his second movie.
Right.
That was a good movie. So most of the things he's done, I like. So I would say...
Greg, there was an answer to this question.
Yes.
Yeah,
You're a Christopher Nolan fan.
You asked me
One.
one, and
What is
I'm
one
like,
of
I
your
can't
favorites?
pick out one.
Well, yeah, that's not a fair question. Good point. Well, finally, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self about your future?
I don't know. I think I would say maybe I would have looked at something else a little bit more than what I'm actually doing. That's all. I think, sometimes I wonder if I should have studied what I studied.
Oh.
I'm not sure that I would have gone down this particular profession. That's all.
Right.
I mean, you're saying, it's all worked out this way.
Right.
But sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I would have done a different track.
Professional basketball.
Right. Well,
Well, yeah.
basketball.
Right.
Stage performer.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Same.
singing could have joined the choir.
No, absolutely.
That's
Those
You've been
things I
starring in
couldn't have done.
Hamilton.
But I've
Yeah.
always wondered,
Totally.
like, if I...
Hamilton historical and singing. Exactly.
Hamilton, don't get me started on Hamilton and its inaccuracy. Anyway.
Well, Greg, thank you for joining us here today. We appreciate you coming on. We
Sure.
hope it wasn't too painful.
No, it's fine.
And we've given you a lot of things to reflect on as you leave the studio today about your career choices, your dreams, your singing career.
A lot
Yeah,
of what
right.
else to take out today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I know there are some dates and deadlines always lingering out there for university transfer, and we have resident drama instructor Jack Landry on board to fill you in.
Here are the events from November 1st through November 15th. Friday, November 1st is the priority date to file intent to graduate for fall of 2024. Saturday, November 2nd, Saturday classes end. Monday, November 4th, new and returning student registration begins for spring of 2025. Monday, November 11th is the last day to withdraw from classes for the full 16-week session. And Friday, November 15th is the last day for in-person registration and schedule adjustments prior to the term starting in the winter session. Those are the events from November 1st through November 15th.
Taylor Todd Williams in the house.
Happy fall,
Y'all.
We're getting into November. Thanksgiving, my favorite.
It's crazy. It's November.
Yeah.
Tell us what's
We're
up.
here. We got a lot of fun things happening. Starting with Monday, November 4th, Kaya, Come As You Are with counseling at 1 p.m. in L201. Rugby club meeting is at 12 p.m. in S501. Tuesday, November 5th, CFCC Counseling presents Thrive Together. Learn tools to manage anxiety and procrastination at 11 a.m. in U262. Student Math League exams. Prizes will be available at 3:15 p.m. in S617, NA314, and B112. SGA General Assembly meeting will be at 4:15 p.m. in L107. The Ultimate Game Night, featuring video games, board games, card games, and more, from 5 to 8 p.m. in L Building Lobby. Wednesday, November 6th, UNCW visit, Explore to Soar. Learn more about transferring to UNCW and their new direct admit program, Pre-Hawk, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Union Station, second floor lobby. Gratitude Jar. Share what you're grateful for at 10 a.m. in the Union Station lobby, McKeithen Center, and Surf City lobby. Student club meetings. Math club at 11 a.m. in S603 and NB233. Anthropology club meeting at 1 p.m. in A316. NAMI club meeting at 1 p.m. in A317. Political science club at 2 p.m. S317. Spanish club meeting at 3 p.m. in S202. Beats Lab club meeting at 3:30 to 5 p.m. in WA2010. Pride club meeting at 4 p.m. Thursday, November 7th, So Crafty club meeting at 10 a.m. in WA3018. Esports club meeting at 5 p.m. in U252. Friday, November 8th, Philosophy club meeting at 2 p.m. in U296. Saturday, November 9th, Holiday Craft Market. raffles, food trucks, and over 30 local artisans at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the North Campus. Monday, November 11th, Rugby Club meeting at 12 p.m. in S501. Wednesday, November 13th, Mocktail Mania. Enjoy some tasty, non-alcoholic treats at 10 a.m. in the Union Station lobby. Falling for Fun Festival at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the backside of Union Station by the outside amphitheater. Rave, Dance Your Stress Away, hosted by the CFCC Beats Lab Club at 6 to 8 p.m. in the Wilson Center stage. Student club meetings, Anthropology Club at 1 p.m. in A316, NAMI Club at 1 p.m. in A317, Political Science Club at 2 p.m. in S317, Spanish Club at 3 p.m. in S202, Beats Lab Club at 3:30 to 5 p.m. in WA2010, and the Pride Club meeting at 4 p.m. Thursday, November 14th, Mocktail Mania. Enjoy some tasty, non-alcoholic treats at 10 a.m. in the McKeithen Center lobby. Falling for Fun Festival at 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the CFCC North Campus behind the NA building. So Crafty Club meeting at 3 p.m. in WA3018. Esports Club meeting at 5 p.m. in U252. Friday, November 15th, Philosophy Club meeting at 2 p.m. in U296.
Sweet.
We have a lot of club meetings. There's a lot of ways to get involved. There's no excuse here.
I know. I mean, we are giving the students all the clubs that they can choose from and more.
You'd be surprised by how many students have the same interests as you. So get involved and go to some of these club meetings.
That's awesome, Taylor Todd. Can I also say, by the way, that the Rave Dance Your Stress Away, hosted by the CFCC Beats Lab on Wednesday, November 13th, is actually on the Wilson Center stage. You can get up and dance on the Wilson Center stage.
You might see me out there.
I mean, this is dangerous.
I'm excited.
I hope no one falls off. Stay away from the edge. Thank you, Taylor.
Of course, thank you.
Kathy, another one in the bag.
Yes. Yeah, and that was so much fun.
Bag it and tag it. No, that sounds bad. Sorry. Yeah, maybe that was for the Halloween week. That's past.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was for the
Right.
Yeah, that would have been our Forensic Files episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought Greg was really great. I enjoyed listening to him, and I thought some of his takeaways, what I took away, that I thought was very interesting was, don't diss something just because you don't think you're going to like it.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
he didn't. His instructor pulled him in, told him to take a class that he
Totally.
didn't think he would like, and then the rest was history.
And a Saturday class at that. Maybe I should take some notes and start offering some Saturday classes.
Right,
No,
right.
That wouldn't be popular? No? Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
The other thing I found really interesting about Greg was, and we didn't really get into it today, but he is the co-advisor for the Political Science Club, and they've been hosting a number of forums, with the upcoming election. And so I think that's been really great for a lot of our students and our staff and faculty to get to see him and his co-advisor Nelson in a different light.
Yes.
And gave us information about the Electoral College, things that people normally wouldn't be that familiar with. So that's a really great club that they have here at the college.
Yes.
So,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
we're making it through November.
I know. I just can't believe this semester is it's flying by. I mean, we're right on the cusp of Thanksgiving and fall break.
It's crazy. I don't want to talk about it. It's kind of freaking me out a little bit. So let's not freak out the students and instead give them some incentive by saying,
Go to class.
Sea Devil Sessions University Transfer Edition is brought to you by CFCC's Community Relations Department. Original theme music by Nicholas Montalbano and Furman Chavez Ramos. Audio engineering and editing by Mitchell White and Adam Unterreiner. For questions or comments, please contact us at seadevilsessions@cfcc.edu.